allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the November 19th, 2020 Village Board meeting to order. Roll call shows everyone is present. Jim is on the phone. Jim, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. Number 3, agenda changes. Are there any? If not, we'll move to 4, consent agenda. A, November 5th, 2020 regular board meeting minutes. B, November 5th, 2020 committee of the whole minutes. C, November 10th, 2020 committee of the whole minutes. D, presentation of accounts and other claims against the village. Are there any questions?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second. Roll call. Dan?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. 5, pre-registered citizens to be heard, and there are none. 6, committee reports. A, library board.
We met on November 10th via Zoom. We approved the close dates, holiday dates for 2021, approved the 2021 budget, and Allie updated us on the plans for the new shelving. She's working with Demco on that. It's a company that does library shelving. And our next meeting is December 1st, Tuesday, December 1st. Again, we'll meet by Zoom.
Any questions for Pat? Okay, we'll move to 7, unfinished business from previous meetings. There is none. Number 8, new business. A, resolution R-29-20, adopting salaries for the village board. Are there any questions on this? I know I talked to Dave and Jane about the special board meeting pay, because like on December 2nd, when we are all day, we are getting $20. Is everyone fine with that, or is that something we need to look at?
Plus the free lunch.
And free lunch.
That's worth at least that much.
What's that value at?
$5.95 plus tax and tip.
I mean, I could put together, or we could put together some other, what other communities do for multiple meetings and come back with that.
I mean, that's such an unusual circumstance. I think,
Yeah.
I can't imagine that boards do that very frequent. I don't know if that needs to be considered a special board meeting or
They
if
do have
that's,
policies for like, say, up to 3 hours, and somehow after 3 hours, they'll have another agreement, something like that, but, I mean, you could put that together if you wanted to see what options.
I think it is something we need to look into. It doesn't happen every day, but when it does, it maybe needs to be looked at. But now we could pass this tonight with what is here, or does anyone have any questions on it, or?
I do have a question about special board meetings. So what if I remember right, a special board meeting was where either a board member or 2 board members and then two people had to sign something, right? Isn't that,
Yes.
do we still do that?
Yes.
Okay. So I just remember a special board meeting meant that it was something so out of the ordinary. It was not a typical meeting, but do we have guidelines that tell us what is a special board meeting?
I think anything that's, you just have 2 normal meetings.
Yeah.
I would say anything else that's scheduled is special.
You know, in other communities, what they explained to me for a special board meeting, it was a board meeting, like you said, outside of the norm, the 2 that we have, that has an agenda. So if there's an agenda on it, it's considered a special board meeting.
A committee of whole meeting.
I would think committee of the whole is not a special board meeting. I mean, that to me.
No.
But what's the difference?
We've
Yeah.
never, We haven't compensated committee meetings
No,
thus far, and even though it's the whole, it's still a committee.
yeah.
What's the
Well,
difference
yeah,
between a committee of the
what I'm
whole
saying is,
and
what's the
board?
difference between a committee of the whole meeting and a special board meeting?
You can't make you
Can't
can't
take
pass
action.
something officially at a committee of the whole meeting. You can recommend it.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense.
Jim,
Public
didn't you have something broken down that the amount of time that you figured you spent on board meetings, you had something broke down last time. Do you still have that, or can you elaborate a little bit on that? I just need to understand, because I still don't feel comfortable with this, but help me understand.
Are you talking to me, or?
Jim, yes.
Okay. I mean, I averaged out the amount of time that I spend. You know, I mean, if you just look at tonight's meeting, right, as an example, right, you have the committee meeting, you have a pile of paperwork. I have the PAA paperwork that I have to go through. We had all of the budgets. We had the capital improvement plan, and to fulfill the requirements of the positions that we fill, requires you to put in the time and the effort to do it. I mean, I know that you can do this. You can sit in these positions without doing that. You could just come in and skate through. But I don't think any of us really do that. I think we all put in the time. Plus, we all make ourselves available all of the time for members of the community. Anytime they want to talk to us, we spend pretty much as much time as anybody wants. And I know that it isn't a regular occurrence, but it does happen fairly frequently. And I think the longer that you're in, the more people recognize who you are, and the more people actually talk to you. So the amount of time that it literally takes, I'm very conservatively saying 8 hours, right? And that's what I contribute on a weekly basis. So on an 8 hour, and that's an extremely conservative number. I put in significantly more than that on a regular basis. So at 8 hours, we are currently being paid, and I'm assuming everybody else is somewhat similar, but at 8 hours, the current pay scale would be $7.21 an hour for the positions on the board. That's not even minimum wage, right? The reason that it's that way is because it hasn't been adjusted for an extended period of time, because everybody else, every other position in the village, and it's been brought up a number of times that we need to compensate our staff at a level equivalent to what they would be somewhere else, or equivalent to the amount of work that they're doing. We are part of the staff. We work for the village of Hortonville. We work for the village of Hortonville citizens, but we are also part of the staff. And like you brought it up last time, Julie, we have staff that are not compensated where they should be. And at $7.21 an hour, at a conservative estimate, that is not being compensated at even minimum wage.
And I guess I would say I appreciated the homework you did, Jean, calling other communities. I have an issue with us increasing by 71% our pay in one fell swoop. And I understand there's a number of us that won't see that, obviously, because we were just elected, but I think, I don't like the message that sends. I think we should look at the pay scale of all the other employees and look at what we can do for them first. And maybe the $25 a month that was initially proposed would be more appropriate. I would be comfortable with that, but the big jump bothers me.
Well, Pat, I sort of agree with you there, but the problem is that, and if you look at it this way, you said, if a regular employee got a 2.5% to 3% raise every year, right, which is reasonable. That's usually once you kind of top out, that's usually where you end up, somewhere in the 2 to 3% every year for a normal position. But as you're growing, you tend to get more. But if the board's compensation had been increased every year that it hasn't been for 2 to 3%, it would be significantly more than what we're proposing here. I actually like to see, on top of the current adjustment, because I think that all this is an adjustment to bring us back to the lack of adjustments over the past 15 years or so. I would love to see us pass something that automatically provides a 2.5% or a 3% raise, and then no future board has to deal with this again, right? I mean, if they wanted to come back and say, well, we don't deserve a 2% raise or a 3% raise, I guess you could debate that with a future board. But I would love to see it that we don't have to do that in the future, and that it would just move forward. But I mean, in my mind, I look at that and say, if you gave even a 2% raise, I'd have to do the math. I don't have it in my head, but even a 2% raise over 15 years compounded would be more than what we're looking at here.
And you know, when I did talk to the other communities, they said to me, you haven't had a raise in 20 years. I said, no board has had a raise in 20 years. And they said, you don't even give yourself a cost of living raise? And I said, no, we never have. We've stayed where we've been for 20 years. So to say, just like you said, it should be set in there just like any other employee in this village, they get a cost of living raise every year. I don't know a year that we did not do raises in all the years I've been here.
If we went with the $25, it would be 10% this year.
But how often are we sitting here in committee of whole meetings or other committee meetings that we don't get compensated for? That's still, that's still time spent.
I agree,
So-
but I guess, again, maybe I went into this with the wrong idea. I went into it more as volunteering, and I get your point. I just think we're jumping too much in 1 year. I have a problem with that.
So if, I just put the numbers into a calculator. So if you looked at and said 2.5%, which is a pittance of a raise, to be honest, considering that you have a $250 that you get a month, right? 2.5% is pretty minimal every year, because that'd be $7 and or $6, $6.25 a year, something like that. $6. I mean, that would be, you'd be like, well, that's nothing. If you looked at that over 20 years, if the board had received, if we had set something up a long time ago and said the board gets a 2.5% raise every year, the board would be currently getting $409.66 off for a regular board member. We're not even adjusting up to that point. So we're looking at less than a 2.5% raise adjusted annually. So I understand, Pat, that $100, you're looking at $100 a month, but I mean that is less than a 2% raise yearly.
What will the residents see it as?
Earned.
They're not gonna balk at that.
Well, I mean, they don't know, I mean, it would cause someone to question, I would hope, but,
Does anyone question the county supervisors or anybody else that works for the county that's elected? Or I don't think anyone questions any of those. So I don't know why they would question a municipality for the little bit that we are making.
What was it, Pat, how much percentage?
well, I think it was like 71%, I believe.
If the county
From
jumped-
250 to 350.
If the county or any municipality jumped in 70%, I would be curious why.
It's 40%.
Is it 40%?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking that sounded high, but,
I'm sorry.
I guess, yeah, I
Right
just
over
need to
250.
understand, like, I know that if
Yeah.
somebody asked me, I could,
1.7% raise across 20 years. That's what it comes out to, 1.7%. And the percentage is not, you're looking at 70% raise. If anybody looked at the numbers, I mean, you're talking $100. You're
I
not talking
calculated it wrong,
70% of 40,000. You're talking 70% of the.
It's 40%, Jim.
yeah, sorry.
But I think from,
40%, sorry, it's something to hear.
with your.
It's 40%, not 70.
No,
I think.
yeah, sorry, it's hard for me to hear.
I misspoke, but it's still 40.
I think, Pat, for your concern, I think anyone that's paying is focusing on something like that or looking at the budgets as deeply as that. They're also noticing the number of notices that are coming out with all the meetings that we're having and all of the things that they probably aren't used to being, you know, they'd see 1 or 2 meetings a month for the standard board. I think that we've had a crazy number of committee of the whole meetings and additional meetings that someone who's paying that much attention and is that diligent about focusing on the finances and such, I think that they would already know and see that the volume of meetings has drastically increased as well. I think they're well aware that that's increased. I understand your point, and I understand that there's groups within the organization that probably, we keep talking about bringing people up to the standard, but I think we're doing that. I think we are working to bring people up to where the level that they
Yep,
should
I think
be.
we discussed that. I think we discussed that in the last meeting where we went around the table and said, this person's salary's been adjusted, this person's salary's been adjusted, this person's getting a raise, and we went all the way around the table. So I think overall, we're doing that all the way across the entire village, all the employees, and we are employees of the village.
So I just have a question for the department heads. Obviously, this is on the agenda. It's probably been mentioned in the office or elsewhere. Has anybody said anything? Has anybody asked any questions, or even with Dave? I mean, has anybody asked about this?
No,
Like residents?
I support it.
No,
I think
employees.
Ben's right.
No.
Employees
20
like-
years is long enough. And
Mm-hmm.
I think this is more a correction than
Yeah.
a
Right.
pay jump.
and it's still in line with what other communities are paying. It's not like you're setting it at
No.
10 grand.
You know,
Yeah, we're
because
still under.
We're still under what,
Alvin,
Jason.
Mesa, where I'm moving, they pay 65,000. So,
yeah,
so I'm gonna run.
I'll be right behind you.
yeah.
Phoenix, Glendale, they all pay, 50.
I would think, next year, with the bypass coming through, there's gonna be a lot more, meetings also coming up if we wanna do this right
Okay.
for the downtown.
Bob has something.
Yeah, I just want to add, and I've been here probably since the last time they raised, okay? And it's like night and day. Special meetings back then were very uncommon, okay? And there weren't as many committee meetings, quite frankly. The difficulty of the job was not as much. There's so much preparation now. They didn't have kids back then. You know, it's like night and day here. And so the way I look at it, I agree with Carl, it's the dollar amount is very reasonable. I think the increase is irrelevant because of the time that just went by. And I quite frankly don't think anybody's gonna have a problem with that. None of you are on board here to make money. It's still very nominal, it's reasonable for everything you do. So I just wanted to add my 2 cents. Thank you.
So you're looking for a motion,
Yes, please.
if everybody's done?
Is everyone done?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution R-29-20, adopting salaries for the village board.
I'll second.
Roll call, Dan?
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
Aye. Nay.
Aye.
Jim?
Aye.
Motion carried. B, resolution R-32-20, bond schedule. Chris, did you want to take this?
Yep, I'll take this one. I sent out a pretty lengthy email, basically describing, the new bond schedule that came out and the reason for the bond schedule, that we had to revamp it. I don't know if there's any questions. I didn't hear back from anybody, so I don't know if that means I was very clear about what was in my email, or
I just had a couple questions, Chris. I would just, I'm assuming the 440s are the statute or the ordinance, right? Or the ordinance numbers, the 40, 40s through 40?
Right. So the first page is, chapter 4, which is animal. So
Okay.
in our electronic citations, we have to put, either a statute number or a statute number and a state or an ordinance number and a state statute number. So the ordinances is gonna be the actual 4.2 is what we would put in there. If it's got an adopting state statute, that will go with it. Like if you look on page 3, chapter 16 has state statutes, and then they have ordinances, so it shows that we adopt that one. Does that make sense?
I have a question.
Sure.
How come some of them only have a first offense and not, there's no escalation for the second and third offense?
Because I think that, I mean, and this is what pretty much every agency does. Unfortunately for me, when I submitted the first one, when we did the animal one, and I submitted it to the judge wanted me to do a tiered. So you got a first offense, second offense, third offense. And then when I submitted this, then he didn't want a tier. So, but most agencies have a tier on selected ones. And so, like I said in the email, I pretty much did what Grand Chute and what Seymour, so not every one of them is a tiered. However, we have, however, as officers, we have total discretion that if the ordinance penalty says, not less than $5, no greater than $500 plus court cost, we could actually, as an officer, bump it right up to $500 if the severity, depending upon the severity.
So I can understand I can understand actually a lot of them not having that, but I mean, some of them, so for example, if somebody got caught stealing library materials, which is 28-1, you know, theft of library materials, the first time they get a $98.8 fine, and then so is that something that you guys have the discretion to deal with, or?
We do. So ordinances are usually our first line of offense. So if it's not something that's really a horrible crime, we could write them a village ordinance, okay? If they're stealing and they're constantly stealing, I mean, we could, there, in that sheet that I sent you, the email that I sent you, there is room for a second, and then it pretty much doubles. So the next, yeah, so the next one we could write, you know, for a double amount, but we could potentially, depending upon what it is, we could refer to the DA's office, and it would be a criminal charge.
Okay.
So that's what's nice about being in a municipality. You can write ordinances, or you can refer the charges, or you can take them to jail. So we really have 3 different steps that we could take. It's kind of like a traffic stop. We can give them a verbal warning, we can give them a written warning, or we can give them a citation.
So Chris, do county officers, are they able to write ordinance violations, or is that just in municipal?
No, county adopts their own ordinances also.
Okay, so our ordinances are only, okay,
Right, but they can do the ordinances in the county.
okay,
Right.
thank you.
So when was the last time this was updated?
2016. Yeah. I had that
Seems like
in
it's
that
kind
email.
of, it was out of date.
So I had Attorney Sorensen look at them. I had the judge, and he approved them. I had the judge approve them. This is what we're proposing.
Are there any questions?
Why is pandering so high? It's pretty high.
That's a personal,
Want to confess to something?
And I'm sure, I don't know, I was just reading, you know, you have them described, but there's a littering and then there's a littering prohibited. So I'm assuming there's more details within the ordinance itself, right?
Well, right, because
Okay.
when you get into Parks and Rec, there's that type of littering, and then there's the type of littering where somebody's throwing out cigarette butts out of the window, or beer can or soda cans come flying out of the window.
Okay,
Or you could have littering where we could actually write them, say for instance, somebody's got a bunch of garbage and paper around their yard, you know, so.
okay,
Depending upon where it falls into here, so you could, if somebody's doing something at the park and littering, we go to the Park and Rec one and write. If it's something dealing with something that's coming out of a car, that would be, probably public, health or nuisance, depending
Okay.
upon what they throw out. Or if it's something that's having to do with their yards, then that would be nuisance.
okay.
Any other questions? If not, we're looking for a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution R-32-20 bond schedule.
Second.
Roll call, Dan?
Aye.
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 Jim? Motion carried. C, resolution R-33-20, financing 2021 and 2022 capital projects.
So this one you should have in front of you. Nathan handed it out because Dave Ferris from Ellers just worked on it today. This is where he put out the bids for that big note.
R-33-20.
And he only received one bid back, and it was from Wolf River, and it's at 1.5% interest rate. So that's lower than what he initially planned on. So we're just looking to get that approved.
As opposed to 3 point,
Well, I think he initially said 2.5.
oh, 2.
So
No, but what are your
1.25
current notes
was
at?
current
fire.
notes, they range all over.
I-
There's some that are.
Did we talk about an average, it was like 3.5 or 3.7, somewhere in there?
3.5, yes.
Okay. So is this a consolidation?
No,
This is a brand new note?
brand new note to fund 2021 and 2022 capital projects.
All right, okay.
And you said that's at 1.5%?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure, sometimes hard for me to distinguish.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution R-33-20 financing 2021 and 2022 capital improvement projects.
Second.
Roll call, Dan?
Aye.
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 Jim?
Aye.
Motion carried. D, resolution R-34-20, pay off 2020 fire station loan.
Okay, these next three are just, we didn't have to do a formal resolution, but we thought Dave from Ellers thought it would be a good idea just to make sure that the board is on board with us paying off these notes. So this first one is the fire station note, which I'm not sure when it was taken out.
2020.
No, that was the one that we refinanced, but I mean, it's a
Initially it's 2014.
2014. Okay,
So you're looking to pay this thing off completely?
yes, that's part of that.
This is,
That's part of where the debt service fund was growing every year.
okay, that 1.5 million that we had, or?
Yes, yes. So we're
Okay.
using that per Ellers to pay off 3 notes. So the balance on
Okay.
that was like 346,000.
Okay, and us paying this, now, don't get me wrong, I like paying off bills. I'm very much in favor of it, but, I remember the presentation we had where, stretching out that was going to provide us a significant boost in our available revenue for redoing downtown. Is that gonna be impacted at all, or is it actually gonna impact it in the other direction?
No, it's kind of, the first one that we passed to go out for the bond is actually gonna be supplemented from the payoff of these. So what we pay annually for these ones, and the one that is ending this year, is gonna end up helping us take out that other loan so that there's no tax impact at all.
Okay. Okay, but the available, so our available funds that we're gonna have because most of the discussion about, spreading out that this current loan was that it was going to provide us the flexibility to have funds available for the redoing downtown, significantly more than what was available if we didn't do it this way.
Correct.
Because initially we had brought up paying off that balloon payment.
Right,
I
that,
just want to understand that, that this isn't going to turn around and affect us later, that we won't have the funds available.
no, we still will. Those funds, we're still gonna have about close to 900,000 left estimated, I think, in our, at the end of the year for the debt that we'll end up using for the downtown. Plus, we're still gonna be taking out this other loan. Basically, paying off these loans now is just gonna supplement the capital improvement plan, which is the 800,000 or 400,000 each year. for 2 years.
Okay,
So that's really what this is doing. The other stuff for the downtown, that's all set. This won't impact that at all.
okay. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? If not, could we have a motion, please?
Make a motion to approve resolution R3420 to pay off 2020 fire station loan.
I'll second
I'll
that.
second that.
Roll call, Dan?
Aye.
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 Jim?
Aye. Aye.
Motion carried. E, resolution R-35-20, pay off 2017 street paving loan.
And this is just a small one, it's for 11,000. Just to clean that one up for Dave Ellers, or Dave Ferris. Same type of thing, just we need approval for that.
I'll make a motion to approve R-35-20, resolution to authorize the paying off of the 2017 street paving loan.
Second.
Roll call, Dan?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Jim?
Aye. Aye.
Motion carried. F, resolution R-36-20, pay off state trust fund loan, BCPL.
And this is also another one that we would like to pay off. The BCPL is the Board of Commissioners of Public Lands. This was a land purchase for TID 3 back in the day originally, 2014 I think it was. And this will be paid off in January 5, but we have to have a 30-day notice and send it to them. So we want approval tonight for that, to get that taken care of.
What's the amount?
That amount is $176,000. It was really originally for the Johnson land, if that means anything to
No.
anybody.
Sharon Johnson.
Sharon Johnson?
Oh, Sharon Johnson,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Sharon
Gilbert's.
Steiner
Yes.
Johnson.
Mhm.
I'll make a motion to approve R-36-20, resolution to authorize the paying off of the state trust fund loan in the amount of $176,814.
Second.
Roll call, Dan?
Aye.
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 Jim?
Aye.
Motion carried. G, intergovernmental maintenance agreement, Outagamie County Highway Department.
I'll take this one. It's our annual agreement with Outagamie County Highway Department for general maintenance or village streets, right-of-ways, and any other special projects I have them do. They did raise the contract amount. Actually, it's less of a contract, more of a guarantee to spend amount. They raised it to $30,100. Last year it was, or this year it was $18,447. Typically I spend more than $30,000 on snow removal just by itself, much less any road maintenance and all that other good stuff. But this year it's been although while we had a lot of snow last winter, it really fell off since January. So right now, between all the projects I had the county do this year, the snow plowing, we're only at $26,000 this year. So it's possible, you know, if we feel we're not gonna make the $30,000 in snow removal costs or something like that, I'm sure we can find projects for them to do, or street signs to make. So I'm comfortable with the $30,100. I didn't get an explanation why it went up, but I'm sure it's just surety on their part. They wanna make sure they have a guaranteed source of income. I think last year we spent over $44,000 with the county because of all the snow and other projects. So again, I'm recommending approval. What's that, Joe?
And Cole, you're gonna be leaving during this term, aren't you? Is that
Me?
like October?
Yeah, next fall.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would just make sure that it gets put in your notes for somewhere when you pass it on, in case we do have to burn that money.
Yeah. Dan's well
Hopefully,
aware.
whoever we did is,
Me and Dan have been,
acknowledge it. What's that?
me and Dan have been coming up with projects and stuff for the county to do. Crack filling, street patching, stuff like that.
You know, what Carl and I were working on with him buying a,
Well, hopefully everybody is as knowledgeable as you, but just in case. You know, you don't want to leave that money out there.
Yeah, I certainly don't want to pay him for nothing. We'll get something out of it. Again, I'm recommending approval of the 2021 intergovernmental maintenance agreement.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion for a intergovernmental maintenance agreement, a one-year agreement for 2021 between Outagamie County and the Village of Hortonville.
I'll second. Roll call, Dan?
Aye.
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 Jim?
Aye.
Motion carried. HO-10-20, correction of downtown zoning error.
This is an error on the, basically it's the start of our downtown zone, or to our zoning ordinances, not downtown zoning. It's basically a page showing what we have for zoning. It was, basically our downtown zoning was put in the overlay district, and it should have been, like it's always been, in the regular district. So this was the one error that we caught.
During the codification process, it just got put in the wrong spot. But, I mean, we could have snuck it in there, but Bob thought it would make it official.
So I make a motion to approve O-10-20 ordinance correcting the district section of the zoning code.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. I-2020 squad outfitting CARES Act funds.
I'll take that one. With the Roads to Recovery CARES Act funds, we had to submit the deadline. It was out there, they gave us an additional 11 days. We had to submit by the 18th, we submitted by the 17th. However, if you recall at the last meeting, I was asking for a head nod to purchase 3 MDCs, so I'm just trying to make this official, because we had to pay for it before the end of it. The total amount for 10 MDCs, they were Panasonic FZs 55s with web capabilities, for a total of $10,236.
Any questions for Chris?
So do we need to make a motion on this, or is this?
I think we should.
Yeah, anything over 5,000.
And so it was $10,236. What was the actual name of the equipment?
The purchase of MDCs for the Roads to Recovery.
Okay, then I will make a motion to approve MDCs for the Routes to Recovery program in the amount of $10,236.
I'll second. Roll call, Dan?
Aye.
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 Jim?
Aye.
Motion carried. J is iPad policy review. Jane, are you taking this?
Oh, yes. So in your package should be the latest iPad policy. Bob has approved it. It's kind of wordy, but Bob felt we should have that in there to protect ourselves. We did receive all the iPads and we used the Routes to Recovery monies, but to get them programmed and ready to go will take a little bit. So Nathan's gonna work on that at some point, and by January 1, I think we'll have them ready. That's what we're looking at. So at the time when you pick up your iPad or we distribute it, we'll have you sign the agreement, if everybody's okay with the wordy, lengthy agreement.
Did anyone have questions on it?
Pardon?
They have. No.
Oh,
So we're getting email addresses, correct, which we've never had before?
Yes,
Because
exactly.
it addresses electronic mail.
Yep.
Yep.
Is that something where we're able to put that on, like, are we able to access that mail on a different device, or is it just gonna be on an iPad?
Yeah, you can put it on a different device.
Okay,
But, yeah.
okay,
It's gonna be through Microsoft all the way through 365, so
Okay.
you just download that on your other devices, and
Okay.
you'll have a login. basically I'm gonna create logins for all of you, generic, and then when you come in and sign, you're gonna get I'm gonna tell you all the generic passwords, and then you're gonna tell Jane your updated, changed ones, so that she has that in case we need it or
Okay.
something, so that's how it's gonna work.
Then Microsoft 365, is that an additional cost to put it on the computer or
Not,
not?
no, not to you. We pay for the user, so you pay for the license of that email. So supposedly you'll just be able to download that off of any app, and then you'll have a login, and then it'll work. You can put it on your computer as well.
Okay.
You bring it in, I can help you do that too, when we do that.
So does that mean that our meeting materials would just be in a OneDrive sort of thing, or that it'll be shared that way? I mean,
It'll be put in through, it'll probably still come across in your emails
okay,
until, yeah.
okay. Okay. So are you looking for an approval of this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the iPad policy. There's nothing specific that identifies it, so I guess I'll just make a motion to approve iPad usage policy.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. K, ambulance contract.
This is usually signed by the administrator. It hasn't changed, other than the pricing changes that happened this year that we discussed at an earlier meeting. I think it was a budgetary meeting when we talked about it, because they went up by 30% or so. And it shows kind of why they had a reduction in revenues, so they take it other ways.
So it's up for everybody, it's not just us, the whole
Right,
consortium,
right.
everybody's up,
Right.
okay.
I think it's
And-
3454, which will be on your tax bill.
Right.
So it'll show up as a line on the item on the tax bill.
Yep, it says
Yeah.
other charge, the special assessment.
And this is just for information, there's nothing to vote on this?
Well,
But we need to approve it.
Yeah.
We do need to approve it? Okay.
Okay, well then I make a motion to, so is it just says ambulance service agreement, do we need to mention consortium? Do we need to say anything in this motion, Bob?
I think it's just the Gold Cross.
Ambulance service.
agreement is sufficient.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the Gold Cross ambulance service agreement.
I'll
Second.
Roll call, Dan?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Right.
force them.
Jim?
Aye.
Motion carried. L, any other miscellaneous topics for future discussion? None?
I would need to know, I don't know if it's even feasible, so I think Bob is there, so he could answer this. So that we don't have to have the discussion about, future board, compensation, I know it can't be held, the future board can't be held, but can we pass a resolution to automatically put in 2.5% or something of that nature, so this doesn't have to happen 20 years from now?
Yeah, and just like you passed the increase, you could also put that in.
Okay.
In the
All right,
words.
so then I would propose that we put that on a future agenda, that we have a discussion about putting something forward starting 2022 and in perpetuity, so that way that we don't have to have this discussion again.
Don't they have to vote on it yearly?
It could, well, before,
State law,
Yeah, don't we have to?
state law requires they vote on it yearly, so they would just have it in with ours. Or
Well,
they
they
would
would.
still have to vote on it yearly.
they'd still vote on it,
Right.
yeah.
We
But
could-
you
we
can,
could-
you can have that discussion and
We can
it's
always-
fine,
right.
yeah.
We can just make a note on the.
Okay, that's what I got.
Could we
Okay.
just incorporate that in the resolution for the
Yeah.
village board salary somehow? Just
Well, we'll work out the details, but, yeah, as far as the topic, that's something that can be,
Any other topics? We'll move to 9, report of village officials. A, interim administrator.
So, an update on the recruitment. Thank you to board members who responded to the questions, who've responded with the questions they'd like to see asked of the candidates, and also in the writing exercise. If you haven't responded yet to that, Chris said you could get an extension until Monday. So you have until Monday.
I thought we had till tomorrow.
That's, yeah, that is.
I
No, no.
too, I'm like, uh-oh.
Oh, all right, okay,
I'm one
so
of them
sorry,
that hasn't
yeah,
done
you're
it.
not
Yeah.
late, you're not late. But
Okay.
just so that if you're pressured,
Okay,
you know,
thanks.
for tomorrow,
I'm-
you have until Monday, you have the weekend, to answer those questions. There was also a comment, I think one of the forums mentioned the wrong day, that it was Monday, December 2nd. Just remember, it's Wednesday, December 2nd is the day. I guess, were there any other questions about the recruitment process? Okay, if you do, if anything comes to mind, you know, let me know, like by Monday, say. Also, as per last meeting, I did have a good meeting with Christina, the court clerk, to talk about her responsibilities, and I've had a conversation with Jeannie about what I found out, and she recommended I write a memo for the next meeting, and that it would be, there may be some considerations for the budget in there, but I will have a recommendation for your consideration. I think that was all I had.
Any questions for Dave? Okay, then we'll move to B, clerk treasurer.
I just put in here that the health insurance quote came in at 8.5% increase for Network Health instead of, I think it was 10%, which we initially thought, so that's good news. And then in the 4 incumbents, I gave them their candidate paperwork for the 2021-2022 term. The first day to circulate nomination papers is December 1. And you have to have them returned to our office by Tuesday, January 5th. And you need 20 signatures, but get a couple more just in case. If you have any questions, you know where to find me.
We do. C, director of public works.
Just a couple. The local road improvement program is a grant program ran through Allegheny County. I had submitted last year for basically the village gets a certain amount every year of funding, and it was built up to about 20 grand. Anyway, so I submitted for $17,800 as part of the paving projects we did this summer. So all that's done electronically now. Hopefully we'll get that. And when we do receive those funds back, we'll put them back into the future projects fund to help build that back up. The holiday lights have been installed downtown. We typically illuminate them just prior to Thanksgiving. Again, and we'll also address some of the lighting concerns downtown. But the fancy holiday wreath and deer I bought for over Main Street, the DOT is not fond of metal-based structures going over the highway. So until the bypass is completed, we're gonna put them down at Memorial Square.
Is this a replacement for Mel's Bells?
It's not quite a replacement for them, but
Okay.
hopefully it will be.
Is it up now?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
Oh,
over
yes.
the waterfall.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
all
See 'em
travel.
Oh,
old.
that's over the waterfall,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
yeah.
And you purchased that?
yeah,
Not personally?
no.
Okay.
So is that gonna illuminate?
Yeah, they will.
Okay, cause I noticed it's not lit yet, but I mean,
We're gonna put our typical Christmas tree down there.
Oh, good.
Holly from Whistler's Knoll out here, she was down there this afternoon cleaning up and getting it ready, and yeah, it's gonna be pretty again by the time we get the Christmas tree and the holiday tree in there.
So the old days, we had one across Main Street here at this end on
Well, we
Nash.
had it from the bowling alley to your grandpa's building,
Right,
but that's a county road, so you get a little more leeway. The state doesn't like any metal-based items hanging above the street.
actually, going back years ago, it used to be across Main Street, going from, the bowling alley over to Dorn's Garage
Okay.
in the early days.
They're pretty picky nowadays.
I
so-
know they are, because that's a state highway.
Yeah.
And then on the other end, across from Porks, so there were actually two of them.
We had a reef across there,
Hmm.
at Porks, but that was really bad shape, so, I think that's something, again, with the remodel of downtown, you know, new Christmas light, orange decorations, all that good stuff, so.
Do we know the old bells were actually thrown out?
They sat around for a long time, and I tell you the truth, I'm not sure what happened to them.
Did anybody ever check under the stage at the Opera House?
Yeah, we cleaned that out.
You did, you cleaned that out?
No, I'm pretty sure they went to the dump, which is a shame,
That's
but they were pretty bad shape.
Yeah,
Um,
but they were.
I had contacted that company that makes these to see if they could make an automated one, and it's like talking to the wall. We could probably get something done in town. We had,
Yeah, there's people that would program that.
electronically,
Yeah.
I'm sure Jim could figure out something to cycle the lights between
Right.
each side.
Yep.
Back then it was an old motor,
Mhm.
and the plastic was dry rotted, and the motor was seized up, and
So we could find somebody that does plastic extrusion and get the bells made?
you know.
And then somebody
Okay.
could do that,
The programming.
the
of lights.
programming of the
Or we
lights.
just do a
which is
flat
like-
bell, you know, so it looks like a bell at night, but you still have the cycling of the,
Yeah.
Oh, I see, yeah.
anywho. And we've got the new display cases in the hallway here, I don't know if anybody's seen them.
Yeah.
They turned out really nice, and, we already received the donation from the Appleton Alliance and the Hortonville Alliance churches to pay for them. One thing we're gonna do yet is get electricity run to them to get the lights working, so. We're gonna put a little plaque out there thanking them for that, so. Yeah, they turned out real nice.
How many are there?
3. That's all I have.
They're beautiful.
Yeah, they look, they look really nice.
Any questions for Carl? Not, we'll go to D, Police Chief.
Met with Lauren from the Wolf River Bank. So if you go to the Wolf River Bank website, there's a holiday, there's our schedule, or there's our route. So that is on there. We'll post something on Facebook. She must have put it on there today. Santa will have a tracker, so you can log into that. It tells you what to do and everything, so you'll know exactly. So if you look at the map, we are starting in the industrial park, and then we're heading to Jim Clegg's subdivision, and then we're coming back past Pat's house, and then you can kind of follow and watch how it goes, and then our final ending point is gonna be past Jim's house, back down to the industrial park. So it's gonna be pretty exciting. Oh, can't wait. Again, December 7th at 5:30 is gonna be the Hortonville tour. Roads to Recovery, I just received notification for approval. We were allowed to submit up to $46,220. They sent out something along with the extended period of time that they gave us, that we could apply for more. We got some COVID-related bills from the high school, for a total of $10,883.84. So we kind of went over the 46,000 by $1,313. So if there's extra money from a department or a municipality that didn't use it, they're gonna give it to those who went over. So, at this point, our status is approved for all the items that we've submitted, so.
Thank you for your work on that, Chief.
Yeah.
That was,
Julie
yeah.
did a lot of work,
Yeah.
Julie she was putting all those in there. She had to have classifications, and then she had to put a little blip in how they're COVID related and everything, so
That's very awesome.
That is great.
Thank you.
Tell her thank you.
Yep, I will. So, just a reminder, overnight winter parking went in effect on November 15th. So, it's kind of nice because Outagamie County, with our CAD system, they created a new incident type, and it's called, parking request. So we can kind of track who, I mean, we encourage people that if they are gonna park out on the road to please contact us. So we can put it in there that they're requesting to have, or requesting to park. We kind of watch the weather and determine. We've had a couple of them say, can I park there until April 1st? You know, and it's like, oh, no, you know, so. Other than that, we're just, schools are still going strong, and we're hoping that they stay going, so. I have nothing else.
Any questions for Chris? Now we'll move to E, Library Director.
Just a couple things. Our curbside is still going strong, still averaging about 30 a day. Some days we get as high as 42 a day, which is very exciting. Our part-time position's still open. I am interviewing right now, but still accepting applications. It's kind of a rolling interview process. The exterior shelves for the library on the outer walls are scheduled to be installed sometime mid to late December. So those ones were in our budget for this year, and we're very excited. They have the same style as what we have now, with the wooden exterior, but the shelves themselves are metal. And there's no back to them, so you'll get a flash of color from the wall colors that we have, which is going to be very exciting. And the staff are really excited for them, and just the sheer amount of space that we'll have for more books, for more resources. It's going to open up the floor plan so much more, and it's just going to look very clean and not quite as compact. So we're very excited.
Ellie, with the new shelves, is that gonna help for social distancing in the future if it continues, or?
They're not mobile shelves. I originally wanted mobile shelving, which is a trend that many libraries are going to right now, where they just have hidden casters and you can move shelves around as needed. But those were like 2 to 3 times as expensive, so that really was not in our budget. In terms of social distancing, it's going to have the same layout that we currently have, but all of the rows are going to be more compacted. So we still are following ADA guidelines. It's going to feel much more spacious. Yeah.
Okay.
Any questions for Ally? If not, we'll move to F, Attorney.
The Weasler lot purchase will close tomorrow. I don't have anything else unless someone's got questions.
Any update on that, Lakeview, property with the?
Yeah, no, there was no update on that, Chris, was there?
No, Jim, I think I sent you a text message that night. It looks like the gentleman still owns it and that there's still some court procedures going on.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
Okay.
Still in his name.
How can I have the building inspector take a look at it, or?
Yeah, we looked at it. Right now it's in a trust and it's in the courts, so there's not a lot we can do.
Well, we could, I mean, we could start a raise order. We could have the building inspector look at it, do the raise order, but, you know, there's a lot of moving parts right now, so that's difficult to enforce when you don't have, I mean, the owner isn't responsible, obviously, and the bank is not the owner yet, so you can't force them to do anything. Then it would come down to the village actually push comes to shove, the village doing the raise or incurring the expense, and so I think, based on what I know, I think we have the luxury of maybe waiting this out, and it's not gonna be that much longer, right?
Yeah.
Carl, what do you think?
They,
Kinda
yeah,
like-
they have a January court date?
There's some parties interested in reconstructing it, depending on the condition inside. I know it has to be gutted, but, I guess, I don't know.
Kinda like the Schilling property, sat forever and ever and ever and ever and ever, and now look at, you know,
No,
somebody's-
not like, the Schilling,
No?
I would think stands alone.
You
as
think
far
so?
as,
Okay.
yeah,
I mean, I'm just trying to think,
well,
'cause-
but, yeah, but you had a death there, and there's just a, and then, right, the bank wasn't engaged at all on the Schilling property, where here there's an active, action going to, you know, take the property back,
Okay.
so,
Alright.
yeah.
Okay. I think we should keep an eye on it, because it's been abandoned for years now.
Yep,
And I'm not sure, at some point, somebody has to do something, I guess.
yes, we'll watch that in January, if, you know, if the timetable changes, we're gonna address it, Jim.
He actually,
All right, thank you. Thanks for the update.
the owner had somebody that was interested in it before it flooded. There was a sale that was going through and everything, and then the flood came about with all the water that ended up in that house. And then I think now he's just letting it have, the bank have it, is my understanding, so.
Well, when the bank does own it, can we put a raise order to the bank?
Sure, and in fact, you know, the bank may go to the, banks don't like to own buildings either, so they may very well put a low bid amount on that, and you might have a private party that's the high bidder at the sheriff's sale.
Okay.
So I think we'll monitor it and see who comes out as the owner.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, we'll move on to G, building permit report. It is in the packet. Are there any questions? If not, we'll move to 10, communications and miscellaneous business. Okay, why am I missing something? Oops, I'm missing something. What's A?
Blackwater Lake District.
Okay, Blackwater Lake District.
I don't have any updates.
Okay. B, Hortonville Hortonia Fire District.
We attempted to have a meeting, but because of the COVID issues, both of the Hortonia representatives and Tom Banker, who's the chair, were all absent, so we didn't have a quorum. We did discuss, because of the nature of the timing, the agreement has to go up, I believe it's to, I don't have my notes, but I believe it's to the town of Ellington, where we provide their fire services. No, if I'm wrong, it'll be a different township, but there's still an outstanding 2% that needs to be collected, that there's a dispute. I think Bob's aware of this.
It's the town of
Where
Liberty.
they get a 2% stipend of some sort from the state, and that's supposed to be forwarded over to us according to our agreement, and they have questioned whether, they didn't give it to us last year, and they question whether or not they should be giving it to us.
So I think it's a different, I think it's the town of Liberty,
Yeah.
just so that we're clear in case anyone watches this.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I think you're right. Like I said, I don't have any notes with me because I was in a rush to get up here, so, but, yeah, so that's the only thing that we discussed, and the only reason we did that was because of the timing of it. They needed to get the renewal in, so. Other than that, we didn't have any discussion.
Okay, then we'll move to C, Gold Cross Ambulance Run Report and News, and it is in the packet. D, Hortonville Civic Association.
Nothing at this time.
E, Senior Activities Committee.
We haven't met. The meal pickup and delivery continue on Wednesdays. Again, they're anticipating more drivers being needed as more people choose not to drive when the weather gets bad. And then, the only other update I had was that Bonnie Planner, who has been our go-to person for the ADRC, is retiring. So, and they have hired a person to replace her, but I'm not remembering her name right now. It's somebody who has worked in the human services before, so Bonnie will be continuing, I think, through the end of December.
Okay, we'll go to 11, comments and suggestions from citizens present. There are none. And 12 is adjournment.
I make a motion to adjourn.
And I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I don't,
Opposed?
I.
We are now adjourned. Thanks,
Just
Jim.
opposed.